ancestry. Step number 1, determine if you have ancestry that could lead to citizenship by descent. Step number 2, determine if you are eligible. Step number 3, gather all the required documents. Step number 4, submit your application. Obtaining citizenship through ancestry is usually straightforward. However, it can be difficult at times, depending on the country and its bureaucratic procedures. For most countries, the application process is simple enough that you can do it yourself. But you may still want to consider hiring a professional immigration lawyer or professional genealogist to help you with the research and application. If you believe that you have foreign ancestry, you should begin the following process to see if you qualify for citizenship through your bloodline. Here are the steps to get a second passport and citizenship through your ancestry. Step number 1, determine if you have ancestry that could lead to citizenship by descent. First, begin by talking to some of your relatives, and them to guide you through your family history. You should try to find out where your grandparents have emigrated from, and whether they still hold, or have claims to, citizenship from their home countries. Then, you should visit the consular website of the country you think you might be eligible to acquire citizenship from. Look for answers to the questions. How many generations back can you go and still have a claim on citizenship? Do both parents/grandparents need to be citizens, or is one enough? What documents do you need to process the application? Some countries will allow you to claim citizenship if your parents are from there. And others allow you to claim citizenship by descent through your grandparents, great-grandparents, or even further. Step number 2, determine if you are eligible. Requirements for eligibility vary from country to country, but you will usually have to demonstrate an uninterrupted lineage between you and your ancestors. Most often, uninterrupted means that no ancestor renounced or lost their citizenship before passing it on to the next descendant in your lineage. For example, if your grandfather moved from Italy to the US and naturalized as a US citizen, he would have given up his Italian citizenship. But if your father was born before your grandfather got his US citizenship, your grandfather would have passed on his Italian citizenship by descent to your father before he lost it. The lineage would not be broken. Important note: any test you take that shows that your DNA is partially from another country will not be relevant to foreign governments. They are more concerned with the documentation that you can provide, and not your DNA. They want you to prove that you qualify for citizenship through ancestry. Step number 3, start gathering all the required documents. Once you've determined that you are entitled to citizenship, start going through the list of requirements and gathering all the documentation you need to prove that you are eligible to claim citizenship through ancestry. This usually will include your birth certificate and those of your ancestors, related marriage, divorce, and naturalization certificates, if applicable, as well as your current passport. These documents usually need to be apostilled and translated into the country's local language. Step number 4, submit your application. Most countries also require you to make an appointment at the local consulate to review and verify your application in person. If everything goes well, you'll have your new second passport shortly after. Pro tip: embassies tend to be overwhelmed with requests for appointments like these, and it can take months or even years until they can see you. Therefore, it's usually best to make an appointment as soon as possible and continue collecting your documentation while you wait for it. What to do if you do not qualify for citizenship by descent? Although getting a second passport and citizenship through your ancestry is by far the easiest, cheapest, and quickest option, it's not the only one. If it turns out you are not eligible or if your application is declined, don't lose hope. There are other options. In fact, there are 4 ways to obtain a second passport and citizenship, and one of them is very low cost and available to everyone. Inside you'll also learn which country will give you a second passport while spending barely any time there, how to get an excellent second passport from Europe, which second passport option is the most affordable and best value, where you can get a valuable second passport in less than half the time compared to other countries. Irish citizenship by descent. Ireland has one of the most straightforward processes for obtaining citizenship by descent. That's because Ireland allows you to trace your Irish ancestry back to your grandparents and in certain cases even great-grandparents. On top of that, if either of your parents was an Irish citizen at the time of your birth, then you are also an Irish citizen. And if you have a grandparent who was born in Ireland, then you are also entitled to Irish citizenship by descent, even if you and your parents were born outside of Ireland. If that is the case for you, you can start by registering yourself in the Foreign Birth Register and then applying for citizenship. It gets a little more complicated if you need to go through a great-grandparent. In that case, you are only eligible if one of your parents has registered themselves in the past using the same procedure. If you were born in or before 1986, your parents must have been registered between 1956 and 1986. And if you were born after 1986, they must have been registered before you were born.